Askreddit asks, what is an adult life equivalent of calling your teacher, Mom?
I have accidentally said, love you, when hanging up on a work call.
I said bye, love you, to a group of teachers once after a workshop I was leading. I guess I just somehow went into parent mode? I don't know, anyway. Some people smiled in a suppressing a laugh kind of way and some kind of froze for a second then continued to pack up. One guy said, thanks, man. Quote, I was pretty embarrassed, but I stood there and smiled. Owning it. I have decided I will say that next time I lead a conference as well. Closing parenthesis.
I was given a lift home by a colleague from work once. And when he stopped to let me out of the car, I leaned in for a kiss as it was what I would do to my wife. Thankfully he was looking the other way at the time.
I did this once with a cop. I was driving to a law school exam when my car broke down on the freeway. A cop came and pushed my car off the closest off-ramp. I explained that I was on my way to an exam and asked if it was possible to leave my car there for a few hours. He was super nice and said he'd put a note on the car not to tow it and would give me a ride to my exam. When he dropped me off, I leaned in for the kiss and then realized what I was doing and fled the car without thanking him. I still feel bad about that.
Once I was in the airport and I went to get a sandwich. I stood at the counter to tell the worker to give me a turkey sandwich, which he prepared. He handed it to me and his coworker noticed he didn't microwave it. So he extended his hand to me over those glass container thingies, which have food displayed in them, so he can take it to microwave it. I didn't understand why he was extending his hand, so I smiled and shook it. He laughed and pointed at my food and told me he has to heat it. I felt dumb as hell.
I'm sure he appreciated it. That probably made his day. Handed a 20 to the officer instead of my license last night. Edit. Thanks for the gold, friend. Video. URL redacted. Story. I was the DD. So we leave a friend's house and sit in the car. Then before I can even turn on the car, the officer pulls up shining the light. So I walk where he can see me from a distance and ask if I can approach. Ask him what's going on. He says I can't discuss that as of yet and asks for my ID. Nervously hand him a 20. And he looks at me like I was an idiot, which I don't blame him. Says, I don't need this right now, give me your ID. We talk for a bit, looking for an armed perp. He then walks around my car and looks inside. Then after IDing everyone he says sorry about the trouble, have a good night.
At Dollar Tree the other day my boyfriend walked up to the cashier and she said almost immediately, how was your meal? And then, oh, wrong job. Quote.
I used to work 2 jobs, one at Chipotle and one at a pet store. Several times when completing a transaction at the pet store register, I would ask, would you like chips with that? ? Cringe.
Stuff like that makes me sad. Working 2 jobs is hard. Opening parenthesis. This made me a bit sad.
These days I rarely talk on the phone to anyone who isn't family, so, love you. Bye is a standard phone call ending. We had some issues at our house last year and I'm pretty sure I told 2 contractors and the insurance adjuster I loved them. Edit. Thanks to all who posted to let me know I'm not the only one. I love you all.
It's okay, everyone needs some love.
I have a friend who used to work as a nursery school teacher and then went to a job in an office. The transition was not easy. Apparently she started her first presentation by saying, all right everyone, quiet down, fingers on lips. The reason she tells the story is that about half the people in the room, including her immediate boss, did it instinctively.
As a teacher you get so used to undivided attention, or at least the expectation of it for presentations. So much so that it's jarring to present to adults, especially other teachers. When they don't shut up, shut you up, I'm talking now, my turn.
Just picturing it is hilarious. On the way back from a client meeting with one of the partners, he wasn't paying attention when the light turned green and I said, hey, babe, you gotta go. And then I died. What happened? ? I finished calls with coworkers with okay. Love ya. Bye.
Sometimes that autopilot is an ass lol.
Calling your girlfriend by your ex's name.
This sounds much worse for some reason.
I Ross. Take thee Rachel.
I once did this with a girl I had been on 2 dates with. Needless to say there was no third date. Edit. Holy shit, my first gold. I knew being a dumbass would have some benefits. Thank you. Edit 2. Just hijacking my top comment ever to say thank you to everyone for blowing up this post so much. Till that most people are just subconsciously telling everyone they meet they love them or that they should have a good meal. Movie. Insert random event here too. Not to mention all the people who miss their parents and other loved ones so much they see them everywhere. Thanks once again. Bye. Love you. A girl did this to me on our 3rd date. Then proceeded to scream fuck repeatedly. Good times. Edit quotation marks. There was no sex.
My old boss and my husband's names were 1 letter apart. I worked in a daycare, so the owner and all the staff often texted one another to update each other on kids. Any issues parents had, and general questions. My husband was working 3rd, and I was working 1st. We didn't get to see each other much, and most of our conversation was done via text. On my very first week, I was in a rush after getting into work, and texted my husband the same thing I always texted him when I got into work. Hey babe, I'm here. I hope your night was as awesome as you are 3. I love you so much. Your dinner is in the crock pot. When I went on break, I checked my phone. Nothing back from my husband. But my boss had texted me. It read, love you too. Mwah. I was so confused until I looked back at the messages and realized I had sent her the text meant for my husband. Changed her contact name to boss after that one. Thank God she had a good sense of humor about it.
One of my soldiers called me dad in boot camp. It was pretty hard not to laugh. Edit. Thank you stranger for my first ever silver. Edit. Damn, this blew up. Thanks for the gold. Never expected this to catch so much attention.
This reminds me of being in boot and, as a lady, coming across a male drill instructor and saying, yes, ma'am, out of instinct.
Why wouldn't you laugh at him?
I did this once with a cop. I was driving to a law school exam when my car broke down on the freeway. A cop came and pushed my car off the closest off-ramp. I explained that I was on my way to an exam and asked if it was possible to leave my car there for a few hours. He was super nice and said he'd put a note on the car not to tow it and would give me a ride to my exam. When he dropped me off, I leaned in for the kiss and then realized what I was doing and fled the car without thanking him. I still feel bad about that.
Did he see it, or did you get lucky like me?
I got to say, in your case probably the other person noticed.
Walking up to the wrong car and freaking out when you can't unlock it.
My husband did this, with extra discomfort. He left the store, got in the car, looked over at the passenger seat, and it was not me. Whoever it was freaked out.
My friend was on a toilet. Someone knocked and she said, come in. Edit. Thanks for silver, kind stranger.
I like to say, password? If awkward silence was the password, they'd get it right every time.
Pam walking in on Michael Scott changing his pants comes to mind.
I had a coworker who would jokingly call our chief Big Daddy behind his back. We were all working a little late one night and she let, hey Big Daddy, slip as he walked in. To her credit, she owned it and now calls him that in regular conversation. Still weird though.
Friend in high school got a summer job in a warehouse. His father was the CEO of this company. He was not supposed to tell anyone who his father is, because of anti-nepotism rules. His father walked through one day, and he addressed him as Dad. Then he tried to cover for that slip by calling everyone Dad or Daddy-O for the rest of the summer.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day you marvelous people.